Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're discussing a modern legend and a modern milestone watch. Technically known as the Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch, Apollo 13th 45th Anniversary Edition, the watch is known by fans and collectors as the Silver Snoopy 2, and with good reason, which we shall see momentarily. You can see and you can purchase this 2015 limited series of 1,970 pieces on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this 42mm and exceptionally ornate Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch. And I do mean ornate. There are things that you can see, for instance, the custom dial with Snoopy at 9 o'clock, the comic cell type first 14 seconds and 14 minutes of the circuit sweep of the dial, and of course the text at center. Failure is not an option. A combination of stagecraft inspired by the film Apollo 13, real references to NASA history. The watch is really an article of aerospace and pop culture, as well as horological history in equal measure. So now that we've kind of divided the tripartite lineage of this watch, pop culture, aerospace, and watchmaking, let's talk about how it fits, because that's universal. The timepiece on my wrist, 42mm across the round of the case, not including the crown or the chronograph pushers. Perhaps not as thick as you might have expected. This one with a sapphire crystal instead of the typical Hesselite thermoplastic is 14.9mm thick, but you can see, as ever, that cantilevered tachymeter bezel does make it difficult to slip a dress sleeve, if not a jacket cuff, over the watch. From lug to lug, it's a very manageable 47.8mm, and the lug spacing, should you wish to accessorize, is 20mm, which gives you a universe, or perhaps I should say a solar system, of options. Now, the watch on my wrist has a hybrid strap that's a combination of textile, bolstering, and on the underside calfskin. It is very soft and pliant, and though this is a new strap unworn, you can see that it's nicely made with gusseting for the perforations, an aviator-style contrasting stitch, wonderfully composed and soft. You would not expect a watch so generously bolstered and unworn, a watch strap, I should say, to be as soft as this one is, but it is very comfortable. Everything about this watch carefully considered. A soft strap, attractively matched, almost an inverse of the dial, which is white with black highlights. The strap black with white highlights. You'll also note that the clasp is a familiar piece, perhaps the most conventional component on the entire watch. It's handsomely made with a combination of satin and polish, the twin triggers to give you security on the wrist so it can't pop open, and a minderless system, so excess length is simply tucked underneath the clasp, and that's exactly what it looks like. A bit flatter because the strap will go through the clasp, but when buckled there are no minder loops or keeper loops. It's a clean aesthetic. Just like the case. Cleaner perhaps on a strap than on the well-known bracelet. You can appreciate the lines better. The timepiece has a sheer flank with a satin finish, polished bevels, and then you'll note the periphery of the tachymeter scale as well as between the lugs on both sides of high polish and nicely executed. This one is in superb condition. You'll also note that traditional tachymeter scale has been modified two ways. One you can see, one you can't. First, the scale itself is rendered in ceramic. With the watch off the wrist, let's get as close as we possibly can and focus in. So you have that ceramic tachymeter scale, which can be used to gauge the speed of an object over a fixed distance between two known points. You'll also note that the watch features a whole array of graphics unconventional, and both the tachymeter and these graphics are luminescent. You'll see when we do the lume shot at the end of this video that Snoopy glows in spectacular fashion. So ceramic tack, sapphire crystal, fully luminescent tack scale, and of course you have the 14 cells that correspond to one of the timed retro rocket firing maneuvers that was a part of the Apollo 13 recovery effort. You do wonder, given all the superstition inherent in space travel and aerospace, why they actually opted to call it Apollo 13. Oh well, it worked out in the end. But the bottom line is that the watch is as curious as that decision, but in an endearing fashion. You have the Charles Schulz character Snoopy. Snoopy, of course, being the namesake of an award for excellence given by NASA to its suppliers, and Omega, in the aftermath of Apollo 13, received a Silver Snoopy Award, which was the NASA recognition for excellence among suppliers. Now, the first Silver Snoopy commemorative came out in 2003. That was a much larger series. This, the second, came out in 2015. Snoopy perhaps more prominent on this one as he features on both sides. Now, the 14 cells corresponding to 14 seconds, and if you can see the text, it says, "What could you do in 14 seconds?" Moreover, there is a small thought bubble emanating from Snoopy's head, which says, "Failure is not an option." A lovely sentiment, not historically accurate, but one of the most memorable lines from the movie Apollo 13. So again, the confluence of aerospace, horology, and pop culture is strong with this one. Also strong is the contrast with the blackened hands and indices with the black on white printing of the dial. It is a very legible watch that works well on those terms. Purely as a timekeeping instrument, this is a good one. You can see very little changes outboard with the pump style pushers and the Omega crown. Now the case back is where things get really interesting. And I'm going to oblige Snoopy and his underlying enamel cosmos with a quick polish. So now you can see what really sets this edition apart. A sterling silver Snoopy, as you can see, silver 925, hand engraved, so no two are exactly the same. Likewise, the background on which the silver Snoopy is mounted is real enamel, kiln-fired enamel with a wonderful metallic inlay of specks and flakes of ferrous material to create the unique Cosmos backdrop. Just as the engraving is unique for each one of these 1,970 pieces, so too is the Cosmos, Snoopy, everything about the watch. Consider it 1,970 piece unique watches. That's probably the best way to regard the watch. Inside, however, highly standardized, as it is the well-known 18-jewel manual wind Omega caliber 1861. Underneath Snoopy and underneath the enamel, 21,600 vibration per hour, 50-meter water resistant with push-down crown, 48-hour power reserve, a cam and lateral clutch system, essentially bomb-proof, although perhaps not as artisanally exquisite as the old hand-tuned column wheel 321s from the early days of the space program. Nevertheless, the 1861 is a lot tougher. So on a purely functional basis, it is the choice and continues to be the choice of NASA. So the timepiece is handsome on the outside, front and back, solid on the inside with a historic chronograph caliber, which, despite the fact that it is a cam and shuttle system, is now so well made to such exacting tolerances by Omega that if I didn't tell you this is a cam or shuttle system, you wouldn't know it. It's that crisp. This is a watch that fires on all cylinders. There's a reason that since this watch has come out, it's essentially doubled in value. Beautiful, artisanally exquisite, distinct from the Moonwatch, and yet very much part of that famous family. The watch manages to be one of the essential Omega timepieces that everyone should own, and at the same time boasts an individuality that's absent in most of the Speedmaster professional Moonwatches. This is a timepiece that is rightly described as one of the best Omega rivals to the legendary Rolex Daytona in the modern era. Yet completely different, this one succeeds on its own merits and stands on its own four lugs. See it and make it yours on our website. And we return with the Apollo 13 45th anniversary Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch, the Silver Snoopy. Here you can see the standout elements, the uniquely loomed dial, which features wonderfully three-dimensional luminescent blocks of luminova that act as the indices themselves, the fully luminescent tachymeter scale, and of course Snoopy lounging in prone position at 9 o'clock. You can see it by the light of day with its impressive accessory set, and make it yours on our website.